Hello everyone. In this packet tracer activity, I'll be showing you how to configure router interfaces in a very simple way. We already have most of the things set up for us, so it's not really gonna be hard. I'm just assuming that you know a bit of like some basics of networking, like before getting started. Uh, okay. So as you can see here on the left, we have all the information that we need. We have this addressing table. We have all the devices, their interfaces and their respective IP and addresses and the prefix for each, okay, for each IP address. And then we have the default gateways. It's just everything here. Now we have the objectives here. We have two parts, basically configure IP version 4 addressing and verify connectivity, and then the same but with IP version 6 this time. Okay. So it says routers R1 and R2, referring to these two, have two LANs, okay? They both have two LANs. See, this is one, this is two. One, two. Your task is to configure the appropriate addressing on each device and verify connectivity between LANs, okay? The user exec password is Cisco and the privilege exec password is class. This is by default, by the way. This is just in case like you forgot, it's just um, in case you forgot it, I guess it's just here, just in case. Okay, now we have part one. Assign IPv4 addresses to R1 and LAN devices. Okay, so we're going to give R1 and these PCs uh, IP version 4 addresses. Okay. Uh, Referring to the addressing table, configure IP addressing for R1 LAN interfaces, PC1 and PC2. The serial interface has already been configured. Okay, so before we get started, let me just enable this option. So what it means by R1 LAN interfaces is these: gigabit Ethernet 0/0 and gigabit Ethernet 0/1. We have to um, configure the IP addresses for both of them. Okay, so we're going to give this interface an IP address, and we're going to give this one a separate IP address based on this table. Okay, and then we're going to give each PC an IP address of its own, and the same thing here. But in here we're going to add IP version 6 instead of IP version 4. Okay, so let's just get started. So first things first, R1. Okay, so we're gonna go to we're gonna configure this interface here for the router. So we go to CLI, Cisco, and then we go to now it's we are in privilege exec mode, and now we have to configure the interface gigabit Ethernet 0/0. So we type interface gigabit Ethernet 0/0. Okay, so now we are inside that interface. You see, it says here config IF. IF means interface. So whatever we do here, it's going to affect that interface. Okay, so IP address, we're going to give it this IP address, this right here. Okay, 172.16.20.1. And the prefix 25 means like the subnet mask is going to be 255.255.255.128. So we're borrowing one bit from the host portion and we are like adding it to the network portion. That's what the prefix /25 means. Okay, so we have that set up, and we have no default gateway here, obviously, since this is like an interface for the router. But as you can see, the connection is still red. Like there's still no connection here between the router and the switch. You know, so how do we fix this? So like obviously like adding an IP address and a subnet mask is not enough. Well, for that we have to enable the port for the connection to like be established basically. So we do that by writing no shutdown. Now watch what happens here when I press enter. Okay, it's gonna turn green. See? Now if I wanna turn it like back or like turn it back down again, we type in shutdown. Okay, no shutdown. See, it says line protocol on interface gigabit Ethernet 0/0 change state to up. Okay, so now it's up. And we're done with this interface, basically. We gave it an IP address and we enabled uh, the port or the interface. Now we exit this and we go to the other interface, gigabit Ethernet 0/1 now, okay? Here, 0/1. And the same thing, we give it an IP address, 172.16.20.129, and the same subnet mask, 128, sorry. Okay, and then again, no shutdown. And we're done here basically for the router, okay? We configured both the interfaces and we gave them like an IP addresses and then we enabled them, okay? Now, remember, serial interfaces are already configured, okay? Serial interface has already been configured, so you don't have to worry about that. Now, the for PC1, we're gonna give it this IP address here, and with a default gateway. Basically, if this PC wants to communicate with other devices on different networks, it needs to have a default gateway. And the default gateway is basically, like, just to keep it simple, um, like, is the IP address of the interface that's connected, like, to that PC or like that network. So in this case, this whole like LAN here, it's connected uh, to the router via this interface, gigabit Ethernet 0/0. So the default gateway is gonna be the IP address of that interface. Okay, so see here, that's the default gateway. It's the same as the IP address of this interface here. These are similar. Okay, 16.20, 16.20.1. Okay, here. And yeah, let's just configure the IP address for this PC. So IP version 4 address, we don't have to worry about this here. It's going to be for the other PCs. So the IP version 4 address for PC1 is this, okay? 172.16.20.10. And then the subnet mask is .255.128. And the default gateway is this one here. 172.16.20.1. And that's it. Now onto PC2. Same thing. Give it an IP address and a default gateway. 172.16.20.138. Then the subnet mask is the same, 128. The default gateway is this one, 172.16.20.129. And that's it. So now this part is done, basically, okay? So this PC can ping this PC, and it can also ping the router, okay? So let's give it a try, actually. So if you go to the, like we open up the PC1, and we go to command prompt, okay? So this is, you're probably familiar with this. It's basically the same as like Windows command line, you know? So if I type in if I type in IP config here, it's going to give me the IP version 4 address for this PC, okay? So this is the IP address that we gave it. That's the subnet mask, and that's the default gateway. Okay, it's literally the same as like a real CMD, like you use on your PC. Okay, same, like it's simulated, you know. So yeah, so that's the IP address. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna ping the other PC. So we're gonna ping the IP address of the other PC. Okay, so we're inside PC1. We're gonna ping PC2. Okay, so what's the IP address for PC2? It's this one. Ping 172.16.20.138. Okay. Now the first request is going to be timed out. Uh, well, that's a topic, like that's a different topic. But just for now, just know that it's normal if it happens. Okay. The first ping is always like timed out. But after that, uh, it should be fine. See, now there's no packet losses. So yeah. So yeah, see, we have a connection. So it says reply from that IP address. Okay, and so as long as we're getting replies, we're good. Okay, we've sent 4 packets, and we've received 4, and we lost 0. So there's 0 packet losses. Okay, 0%. And now let's ping the interface for for the router. Okay, so gigabit Ethernet 0/0. So ping this one here, 172.16.20.1. And again, there's a reply here. So everything is working fine, okay? So far we've pinged the other PC and we've pinged the router, so it's working fine. Now we are gonna do literally the same thing here, but instead of IP version 4, we're gonna use IP version 6 as instructed here, okay? IP version 6. So yeah, let's do that. And we go to CLI. Password is Cisco enable class. Sorry, class. Sorry, class. So interface gigabit Ethernet 0/0 here for the router, for the second router is this one. Okay, so we're just gonna, since this is like an IP version 6, it's easier to just like copy it. Config T and then interface gigabit. Oh, and by the way, you don't have to write the whole thing. You can just write gig or gig and then press tab and it will complete the whole thing for you. 0/0 and then IP version 6 address, and then we paste this IP version 6, okay? And the same thing, don't forget uh, to enable the port by writing no shutdown. But before doing that, I want to show you something else actually. See here on the bottom left, it says check results, okay? So if I click on it, and if I go to assessment items, here you can see all the like things that I've done right, and, like the correct, and things that I've done that I haven't done yet. You know, for example, like I haven't set up like a default gateway for PC3. You know, um, but we haven't reached PC3 yet, so we don't have to worry about it. So we are on like we are here basically, router, the second router. See, we gave it an IP address and we gave it the prefix length is correct as well. Uh, But the port status is incorrect here, you see, for the router 2. So I'm gonna fix that, you know, as you know, by writing no shutdown. No shutdown. Okay, so gigabit Ethernet 0/0 changed state to up. Okay, so now if I go to check results, if I go to assessment items, router 2, see port status, now it's correct, whereas before it was incorrect. So this is, you have this here, I guess, in case like you want to test yourself or you see where you like what other things you messed, you know. um it was very like useful, you know. And here you have like completion, we have like we're 70% through, you know. So yeah, so far so good. Now I'm gonna exit this interface and uh, enter the other one, gigabit Ethernet 0/1. Then I'm gonna give it an IP version 6 address. So the IP version 6 address for the second route, second interface for the second router is going to be this, okay? And again, no shutdown. Okay, now exit. We're done with this router basically. Now we move on to PC3. Go to desktop, IP configuration. Now we don't use IP version 4, we use IP version 6 here, okay, as stated in this lab activity. So we copy this, but make sure you don't copy the /64, okay, because we're gonna write it manually. Okay, we're gonna write it manually here, /64, okay, and the default gateway as stated in the table could be this IP address. Now same thing for PC4. Paste this here, /64, and this is the default gateway. Okay, and that's it. Now, PC3, if PC3 were to ping PC4, uh, we should get a reply. Okay, so if I say ping and I copy the IP address of PC4, okay, so you get a reply. So everything is working fine. We sent 4, we received 4, we lost 0. Okay. Now, if I ping the interface, gigabit Ethernet 0/0, which is this, we should also get a reply. Okay. Reply. So you have replies. So yeah, everything is working fine. We've done pretty much everything that's needed. PC1 and PC2 should be able to ping each other and dual stack server. Oh yeah, and PC1 here, we go to, sorry, the CMD, we can ping this dual stack server here. Okay, so that's the IP address for it. So if I say ping 64.100.1.10, now the first ping is gonna fail, okay, but as usual, we still get replies. Okay, so if I try again, we're gonna get all 4. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it. So we've completed it all. Okay, congrats, you've successfully completed the packet tracer configure IP version 4 and IP version 6 interfaces activity. Okay, so good job. I hope this has been easy for you and I hope you learned something today.